Alright, moving on to the vials. This one is going to be a little hard for me. The highest level vial here is Mada, which is, they say it's a god, but, created by Chevana. Chevana did create him, but in my resources it also says that he was basically a monster. The reason he was created is basically as a threat to the god Indra, threatened to devour him if Chevana and his followers were allowed to attend the Soma ceremony. Soma being the food or the drink of the gods. But I think intoxication is also a blending with another Hindu being with the same name. But I think it's probably correct as it is the same under the same alias, so to speak. The next one, Samael. His description is actually very, very brief. He is basically called he is, in my resources, he's basically a fallen angel. And he's also the demon that's associated with volcanoes as well as the planet Mars. I think the name actually stems. I think this description, or what he looks like, actually stems from his alternate name, which is the Red Dragon. And a friend of mine actually added to this and said basically what the beginning of this description was. The name usually means poison of God. And often he's actually, I think in my resources he's equated with the devil. Alright, next one, Tao Tie. I couldn't find him, though, in some sources on Chinese myth. They explain that Tao Tie is actually a member of four demons called the Shizang, or basically gods that have been demonized by opposing one of the emperors at the time. There are four of them, actually, representing four evils four cultural evils: chaos, ignorance, deviousness, and gluttony. Tao Tie obviously represents gluttony, but another familiar demon in the Shin Megami Tensei series, Tao, is the tiger creature, is representing of ignorance as the Shizong. Okay, next one, Girimekhala I cannot find. I know he stems from Buddhism because Mara on its own is actually a Buddhist king of demons. Basically, he's like the devil in Buddhism. And though Mara is basically independent in his own right in the Shin Megami Tensei games, I might just mention him here because you can't summon him in this game. But Mara is most famous for being the tempter of the Buddha. First starting out with tempting the Buddha while he was meditating with food, then with dancing girls, then he eventually started threatening Buddha with lightning and a fiery discus, but all to no avail. So basically, he lost to sway the Buddha away from his cause. The Pazuzu, like Samael, is very brief in my resources. As for specifically where in Mesopotamia he stems from Assyrian myth, and all my resources just describe is basically his appearance as he's usually depicted as like an eagle with a lion's head, four wings, and also horns. As for the rest of this, I'm not entirely sure. I think this is correct, but until I know otherwise, I'm just gonna stand back. So again, if you have any more resources that you want to share with me describing some of the things that I briefly touched upon or probably just danced around, you can go ahead. I won't turn them away. Next one, Arahabaki. I couldn't find him. However, I looked up the form of the form of the god, and it stems from statues or clay statues or dolls called dogu. These stem from the Jomon culture, which is one of the more ancient cultures in Japan, which lasted until the Yayoi culture came in and deposed of them. As for what the dolls represented, it's not entirely sure. We don't know much about them. All we know is that they're probably associated with fertility, with like the narrow waist and impressions of breasts, etc. But also we found archaeologists found these dolls broken, so until we understand what these are, we won't exactly know for sure. Finally, Baphomet. Baphomet isn't actually the lowest level vial here. It's because Arahabaki leveled up a little bit before Baphomet. Baphomet, the description is pretty much correct. It's described as the goat-headed idol worshipped by the Knights Templar, but it later became associated with witchcraft. As for anything further about it, I don't exactly know for sure. For my major resource, it's mostly hit or miss, so again, I won't turn away any descriptions you might want to add to this. Alright. I'm trying to think of anything else, but I think this is as much as I'm gonna milk out of this, but I'm sorry I couldn't produce any more, so feel free to add to this if you want.